We continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Berurah. We're still in the middle of Simin Nun Gimel, all the halachas pertaining to who is Ra'i to be a Shliach Sibur. And today we're going to be learning the end of Sif Yud Tes all the way through Sif Chav Beis. Says the Ramah, we're in the middle of the Sif Yud Tes, and the Ramah says the Ramah, V'davka She'el Oisa Yachid Tamhagen Al Pi Tuva. Davka, specifically if that Yachid is appropriate and appointed via the Tuve, the trustees of the city. But if not, then that Yachid cannot protest any Shliach Sibur. Continues the Ramah. And if he Soinoi, he hates him, he can be protesting before they agree that he can be the Chazan. He should not be called up for the Torah when we read the Teichacha in Kriyas HaTorah. Says the Mishnah Berurah over here, what does this mean? That he tells them the reason that due to this, he explains the Tuvei. He explains to the trustees the reason he doesn't want him to be Shliach Sibur Kigayin. He doesn't have good midas, not that he's puzzled, not that there's a inherent flaw in this man, but rather he explains the reason why he does not want him to be the one dominating for the because this, everyone agrees Yachid cannot protest. Because if Shah was that the person is protesting and saying that he is puzzle, then of course it's not in the power of a singular person to say someone is puzzle, and rather you have to look into the matter, and you're not chayshish for a pagam without actually verifying the situation. Continues the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan and Vav Sainei Ratzalaymar Sheyadua be'emes mikvar sheim Sainim Zelazeh. It's known prior that they dislike, that they hate each other. Therefore, that is the reason why he is able to protest. As we've explained yesterday, because you do not become a shliach for davening for someone else against his will. But if he just randomly says, I dislike the person, it's not in his power to say such. And we continue over here, in which the Mishnah Berurah is explaining Sivkatan and Zayin, that it's only if Kaidem, only if it's prior to the fact that they appointed him. Says the Mishnah Berurah, let's say that's not the case. Let's say he became a Sainai after they already appointed him. Then then the singular person cannot protest. Rather, Sheikh Sibur has to say explicitly that he's going to remove the hate from his heart and be moitiv in tefillah. The reason is, if you exclude one person from your tefillah, that effectively is excluding everyone from the tefillah. Chazan has to be very careful. We're learning an important rule over here. Chazan has a very important and a very powerful position, and if he thinks, I'm just not going to be yotzei one guy, he's really taking the entire ship. Shliach Sibur cannot lechanif the tzibur b'mili d'shmaya v'zar lechicham, and you have to rebuke him. But his own issues he has to get over and be beloved by the people. Continuing the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan and Chas, in which he explains that he also should not be called up for the Torah. Similarly, if he hates the shots is not going to like him. We know when you do not like him, then he does not like you. Maybe he's going to have you in mind of the Techacha, dreadful thing. V'chashash saikani iloi. So saikana to have someone in mind. Even if they call you up, you should not go up to the Torah, which we know, as we'll learn in Ilchos Kriyas HaTorah, that when someone is called up, he's not supposed to ever demur. He has to go up when he's called. But in this scenario, in which it could be a saikana, he should not go up. Because like the cause of the as you just explained, the Knesset Gdela takes the opposite approach and says that when they call you up to the Torah, it's a bizui. It's a lack of covenant Torah to not go up. So says the Knesset Gdela, you should definitely go up. You should love the tzibur and they will love you. It comes out that the one who's reading is hated. But one of the people in the tzibur mutal alaskan it's up to the skan that he has to be careful. If you know that the Baal Kairei dislikes a certain person, be careful not to call him up for that aliyah. If you happen to know that someone in shul dislikes you and you're worried they might call you for the techacha, you shall leave between the aliyahs in order to make sure they do not call you up. But if they call you up, you should go. Because if your kavanah to going up to the Torah is for the kavanah Torah, you will not know any harm. Person reading cannot have anyone in mind. Because of you should go up if they call you. So tucked away over here in the halachas of Sheikh Sibur, we have a very important halacha with regarding to the Teichacha. That number one, the Baal Kairei cannot have anyone else in mind. And number two, you should be careful not to get called up if you know he dislikes you. But ultimately, if they call one up, Shomer mitzvah davara, when he's performing a mitzvah, he's going up for the kavanah Torah, he will see no harm. And we continue in the Machaber Sif Chaf. And someone wants to daven for his father, someone wants to daven for someone else. The person that the congregation desires wins out. Says the Mishnah Berurah, what is this refers to? This refers to a case. Someone is an avel. His father was nifter, and he wants to have like a novel. An important line says Mishnah Berurah, yes, Kaddish is very powerful for the schus of a parent, but davening is even more powerful, says Mishnah Berurah. And the cow wants someone else. When it comes to saying Kaddish, the congregation cannot say no. And therefore, if someone goes up and says Kaddish, no one can stop him. One cannot be the shliach for the congregation al karchan against the will. He's like a shliach sibur, a singular person cannot protest. We go after the majority or those who are selected for this, as we've seen yesterday. There are those who have a takana. They don't allow the aval to daven. Only the said shliach sibur. Says Mishmur, do not be deichel at takana. Why do they make the takana? Explains the Mishmur. The nervous someone's get up, he doesn't know how to daven. So they make such a takana that only the set sheikh sibur davens la'amad, and says Mishmur, you should not be deichel that takana. Lakach teknu afilu al yodim shel isbalo misham to relate to the nsuya. We don't want fighting, so even if someone knows how to daven, we do not allow him, and that is the takana of the city. Therefore, if there's no takana, it's a mitzvah to leave the avel and let him daven. Because it's nachas ruach for the nifter and brings him out of Gehenim when someone is davening in his behalf. However, if the person can't read, he should not daven for the hamid. Because if you have an avel and a mayel, nidcha avel neya tefila machmas a mayel, the mayel wins out. Very important Mishnah Berurah. On the day of a yard site, Shekarin yard site, the day that a father and mother was nifter, he wins out. So even if there's a male that wants to have it, or there's an avel of a shana, one who has yard site wins out and he gets the amin. That's only when the congregation is not makbid. But if they want to be baicher, if the congregation wants to choose a certain person, they are allowed to. And we continue Sivkat and Samachalef, in which the congregation could choose they want to. Says Mishnah Berurah, but Ma'ariv, which is not corresponding to the carbon tamid, it's only keneged the burning of the fats and the limbs on this veach. Perhaps you do not need the people to agree for you to down for the amid, and the people cannot protest for an avol to have a ma'ariv. The mitzvah is because he has a mitzvah. So when it comes to shachar mincha, when you're being yotzei, the people in their carbon tamid, then they have rights to choose. But when it comes to ma'ariv, then not. Says Mishnah Berurah, a very important rule: never fight for a mitzvah. And we begin this Sif Chav Aleph. Says the Mechaber. It's not a point via the priest of a guy, even if most of the people desire it. Explains the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkatan Samach Beis, Vasar Bikish Me'amiyat Amanim Sheskimu Alav, Ki Chalila Le'karba La'avoidas Barina Ide'akom Umazalois, Chas V'Shalayim, to let a guy involved in our tefillos. And we continue with Sivchav Beis, says the Mechaber, Sheikh Sibur B'Sachar Adif Tvei Min Adava, it's better to pay someone than to have him do it for free. Says the Rama. One should never daven without the desire of the people. B'chol mi, we turn over the page over here, Shemisbalu B'chazka, who grabs the Amid V'derech Alamos with force, Ein Amin Amin Acher B'chais, a strong statement of the Rama, should not answer Amin after his brachis. We conclude today's share with the Mishnah Berurah and Sivkata and Samach Gimel and Sivchav Beis. B'schar Adif, why is it better to get paid? Because then someone who's not appropriate can get involved. Because if it's anyone could dave, and then it's a free for all. Therefore, it becomes a terrible thing. And furthermore, another psychological part says Mishnah Berurah. When one is getting paid, then he's more careful. Because he's getting paid. Even the aniyim should pay for a shashatz b'schar adif, because we're seeing there is a maila to pay the sheikh sibur. L'spalo l'tzkayr or to blow shayfer, b'loi ratzon without the desire of the people. Sivkatan samachei ve'in la'adam l'tzkayti b'avar shamitzvah. Again, Mishmur reminds us: do not fight for a mitzvah on Galila sefer Torah chiyetz by sharei shaninu, because we learned the snuim, those who were private, would remove their hands from getting lechem apanim, and the glutton ones would grab a chizach of apanim mitzvah. So we see it's better to shun away and to prevent fighting. Upashit, and it's obvious as we turn over the page over here that the dafka mitzvah this kind of the acha. This is only if someone else is going to do the mitzvah. Avla mitzvah this batel legamri. If no one's going to do the mitzvah, kigon achnosas archim achzlichis al matayra, to bring gas in or to support Torah, and he could protest. If a mitzvah is going to be lost, that people aren't supporting Torah, people aren't being machlis archim correctly, then of course you should protest, so that the mitzvah is not in this batel. We can even force someone. And if someone ultimately grabs the amid, you don't answer amen. A very strong language, a very high level. One who grabs, unfortunately, the amid, you don't answer amen after him. I'll pick it up from Sivchaf Gimel in the next year.